Hello, adventurer. It's good to see you. You have made it to the morning grind.
Welcome, welcome.
It's the live stream at the beginning of the Geekverse, where we talk about all types of topics in geekdom, gaming, and fantasy, with an emphasis on being constructive and creating the things that we want to exist in the world.
It's all on the grind, Sizemore. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
That's exactly right. There are a lot of adventures to be had today. Dungeons to explore and monsters to slay, and who knows what a random encounter might send our way. That's why we have to prepare, so settle in now for the morning grind with your favorite beverage in hand.
Tea? Or maybe something a little stronger. I've got a few bottles of the old Wynyard left.
Whatever you want. Pull up a chair.
Dude.
If you're feeling fancy, how about a cappuccino? Or a frappuccino? Or how about an espresso?
Just tea, thank you.
Sounds good to me, Gandalf. Whatever you want. I'm just glad you're here.
Everyone is welcome. You can just watch if you want. You don't have to worship anything you don't want to worship.
Thank you, Mike. But be forewarned.
Sometimes we get really strange characters around here.
Wait, what's that you say? Why can't you come and be a part of the stream?
My wife would disown me.
Oh no, I bet she'll be fine with it. Come on in.
Am I scared for my safety? No.
What are we supposed to do?
Everybody do the secret handshake.
Secret cultist handshake.
Oh, now do wizards who love each other.
This, my friend, is a science.
I still don't have kids, but it's fine.
It's all on the grind, son. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
Dude, this would be a sick place to bring the band.
Indeed it would be, Dave. It really would. I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome, glad to have you here. Oh look, here's someone new.
Is this the cultist meetup?
Yes it is.
Come to hang out? Please accept me. I have nothing else.
Okay, we accept you. Everyone's welcome here.
Brought some snacks.
Well, that makes things even better.
You want some coffee? I don't drink coffee. You sure? It's cultist coffee. What makes it cultist coffee? I'm a cultist and I'm drinking it. Oh. Then I'll have some.
What exactly is going on here?
I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome. It's so great to have you. Oh, and look, here comes another stranger.
Can we help you?
Yes, fellow cultists. I could really use some food.
Oh yeah? Welcome. We have donuts.
Oh, it's me. I'm glad I'm here. I'm sure you have a few questions for me, though.
What's your name? Who do you work for? What god do you worship?
Great questions, Rob.
I'm Steve King, and I worship Nyarlathotep.
No, not really. I'm just Heath, and I won't be worshiping anything this morning. But I will be your host. Welcome to the office. We're going to have a great time. I've got my coffee ready, because now it's time for the morning grind.
If you could become a fish, that would be amazing. Then I could command you with my mental fish powers.
Okay, brr, everybody. Brr, it's cold. It's cold. That's one of the reasons I'm getting started late today. So I'm all wrapped up here. Might as well be warm and snuggly this morning. I do have warm coffee. Had to get coffee. Hopefully everybody is doing okay. I was seeing in the Discord server, some people were saying they were snowed in. Snow falling. There's no snow here, but it is freezing, although it's not nearly as cold as in some places. I know it got down to 22 here, which is cold for here. But man, I know other people have it a lot worse, but my house is not really prepared for this. So when it gets this cold, my house feels it. I still have other work I need to do as far as insulation and things. That's some stuff that never got quite finished. So anyway, so I feel it when it gets cold. I'm glad it's not any colder. If it were like, what I was talking to somebody, it was like negative 17 or something like that. Like I would not be in the house if that were the case here. So I was up late last night. I was actually editing video last night. I decided I needed to do something a little bit different, and I was editing video for the Heroine's Labyrinth, clipping stuff for the table talks for the Heroine's Labyrinth, because Doug's book is going to be coming out next month. And I do want to put out some clips. I hadn't been able to clip stuff for Table Talk because I've been focused on one thing at a time. So I was doing that until late last night, and got a lot of it done. I got it all almost done. And then we had the freeze. So here I am. I wasn't sure what to cover. There are some other things I want to cover, but I just wasn't quite feeling it this morning. I've got the Star Wars. I've got this back here to cover. Realize we've never looked at it. But I just wasn't feeling it this morning. The Star Wars, I don't know if this is the original Star Wars RPG or not, but Star Wars, the role-playing game, 30th Anniversary Edition. So this one is going to, this one's on the list. I just wasn't feeling it this morning. So that's one. And then also, we do need to look at the MCDM preview, but I'm not sure where to get that. I looked that would have been a good one to look at this morning. But I just looked briefly, and I didn't see like an update or something. Did I miss an update? Was it an update to the backer kit? How did people get that? So if anybody has that or has a link to it, if you would put it in the stream or tell me where I can get it, we do want to check that out. So here over the next day or so. So let's see who all is here. So BGD had a good idea to see if we could just try to build out a 5-room dungeon. And I would like to do more of that. I would like to do more of that on the creative and constructive side of things, especially once we return to some game building. But we need that. We need some type of dungeon for Shadow Dark. We also need just general practice, I think, making a 5-room dungeon if we're going to be doing, if potentially we do something where we're sending people into a West Marches kind of campaign, and we need like good like one-shot dungeons. So maybe we try to build something this morning together jointly as a community that is suitable for maybe those first level Shadow Dark characters or first level OSR characters. Maybe use some classic monsters like goblins or something. So I think that's a good idea. So good morning, Lynn. Good morning. Good morning, PH. Good morning, Robert. We got BGD here. Brett's here. Good morning. Good morning. Good. Please do like the stream. Thank you, PH. Let's see. Sable is here. No, that's not Fantasy Flight. This was I don't even know who made it. Hang on. West End Games. That's right. West End Games. So this was West End Games. I remember seeing this in some magazine when I was a kid. I was like, oh, Star Wars role-playing game? I didn't really even know what a role-playing game was. But the description of it sounded really cool, and I think it was this game. So this is like a reissue of those. So we'll have to look at those physically one morning. So that's old school. It does have that's the Fantasy Flight logo, isn't it? So I think the reissue is done by Fantasy Flight. That may be what we're talking about here. Because this is not the fantasy. When I think of the Fantasy Flight Star Wars RPG, that's not it. But I believe I may have gotten that through them, because when they got the license or something like that, I think they reprinted the original. Hey, Steel Mongoose. Oh, speaking of other things that are going on, I've still got to get together my thumbnails. I was watching Generations last night. Yeah, I started watching Generations last night and taking some notes on Generations. And then also probably First Contact. I think we're going to be able to do both of those. I think we are. Maybe we can't, but we're going to look at both of those tonight on Table Talk. And then Cameron will be with us on Thursday. All right. I'm not operating at 100% this morning. I did also, I think I solved my problem. Or I got a potential way. Let me bring up my books. I think I have a potential way to solve the issue that I was having yesterday to integrate the index card virtual tabletop into the coffee shop that was so close to working just like it needed to. It was there just seemed like there had to be a way to get it to work. Sometimes that's not the case with technology. Sometimes you can get things really, really close, but they actually can't work. But I think I actually may have a solution for that. So that would be fantastic. Still probably keep it in an experimental kind of phase. But I think it's going to work. So that would be great to have both of them integrated and going. Let's what's our date here? Or what's our sometimes the software just does not I think this is it. Where were we? I don't remember Marine gets 2 salaries. The professional does not wait for inspiration. I think the professional helps others. I think that's where we were. Okay, so all right. Let's do our morning ritual this morning. I've got coffee this morning. It needed it. It's warm. So let's take 2 deep breaths. Inhale through the nose, exhale through the mouth. Deep inhale, complete inhale, then complete exhale, and then take a sip of your favorite beverage this morning. So here we go. Let's breathe. And sip. All right. From Turning Pro by Stephen Pressfield. The professional helps others. When I first finished the manuscript for Gates of Fire, it was 800 pages long. My agent, Sterling Lord, though he loved it, said he couldn't submit it to publishers unless I cut at least 300 pages. That was like telling me to amputate not 1 limb, but 2. I was devastated. One of the people Sterling had shown the manuscript to was Tom Gunnisberg, who had been head of Viking Press for years. It was a hell of a thing for someone of Tom's stature to simply glance at an unknown writer's work. But Tom did more. He sent me a note. I still have it. The central sentence said, "There's something great in here, Steve. I have confidence that you will find it and bring it out." I barely knew Tom. He barely knew me. But if you saw the thumbprints I put on that note, from the dozens of times I picked it up and hung on to the words for inspiration, you would think we were the best of buds from way back. The professional does Bulgarian split squats. Oh, BGD, looking forward to the table talks on the TNG films. I'm not sure how many of the TNG films we're going to do. James says, I'll see about rewatching Generation and First Contact before the stream tonight. They're serviceable and they'll entertain, but establish issues regarding continuity, and that's irksome. Yeah, I'm not sure how many of them we're going to do. I know a lot of people love First Contact. So we'll talk about First Contact. I'm not as big on First Contact as I would have liked to have been. So I think mainly what I want to talk about in both cases are things that demonstrate how that they don't do things as well as the original movies did them. All right, let's talk. First of all, I've got to refresh my memory on what it is that we're actually doing here with this 5-room dungeon. 5-room dungeon philosophy. A guide to designing and running 5-room dungeons. All right, let's look this up and see exactly what I'm supposed to do. and what the philosophy is. All right. Let me share this. This is it, right? 5-room dungeon. All right, let's refresh our memory on what this is. I mean, other than the obvious. Let's see, blah, blah, blah. 5-room dungeon detailed. Room 1, entrance and guardian. All right, let's start some notes over here. Five-room dungeon. Room 1 is entrance and guardian. What's the reason your dungeon hasn't been plundered by other adventurers already? The first room of your 5-room dungeon attempts to answer the seemingly simple question. Why hasn't the dungeon been plundered? Maybe it has. Maybe the goblins took it over. A guardian or other challenge at your dungeon's entrance is a good justification as to why the dungeon is intact. There's also another purpose to this first room. It keeps players on their toes and helps establish your dungeon's theme. Some ideas for room 1 challenges: a trap, a hidden entrance, entrance that's magically sealed and requires a special key or command word to open. There's a monster guarding the entrance, pretty classic. The entrance requires special skills and equipment to reach. Underwater cave or cave inside of a mouth of a volcano. Okay, room 2 is a puzzle or a role-playing challenge. Puzzle or role-playing challenge. I was also thinking, by the way, that this morning, that even though I think I can solve my issue with getting the ICVTT into the coffee shop, which is really good, I also think that we should build out the index card RPG in playingcards.io. Like something basic that do the same kind of thing we did with Shadow Dark, but with the ICRPG. Put some basic characters down there and things like that to play with. The index card virtual tabletop. It's kind of like the advanced stuff that can do so much that people can put whatever they want. Of course, people can build out whatever they want in playingcards.io as well. But I was thinking maybe should a lightweight version of the index card RPG in playingcards.io. It may not take that much time. Now, I say that, and then everything takes longer than I expect it to. But I think that we should probably do that. It might not take as long as the Shadow Dark did, because I can start with Shadow Dark as a base. I've built out an RPG before now, so I'm hoping that goes faster. So I think that we might just have to do that. Oh, sent you a couple of... Oh, the 5-room philosophy is summarized in the ICRPG Master Edition on page 114. Is the yes, the Master Edition happens to be what I have right here. Okay, okay, thank you. Sent me links to. Let me look at the index card RPG room 114. GM's Guide, Adventure Building the Index Card Way. Time to bring things to the table. You need to bring an adventure. ICRPG favors simplicity. That's one of the things I like about it. If anything is too complex to run from memory, it's too complicated. That's how the ICRPG adventures from years past are built. Special mention, here's the brilliant 5-room dungeon method of roleplayingtips.com. Oh, yeah, I think so. Roleplayingtips.com was where this was supposed to be. So, okay, this must have been the original. Oh, yeah. I think this was the original right here. Room 1, entrance and guardian. Room 2, puzzle or role-playing challenge. Room 3, trick or setback. Room 3, climax, big battle, or conflict. Room 5, reward, revelation, and plot twist. But I also want the, what was the method? Okay, let's see. So the whole truth. To get started, you need the bird's eye view of your idea. This is the secrets, the big twist, villains, and scenery of your idea. Grab a trusty index card and write down the big picture. Don't try to be clever or interesting, just the facts. A starship is imbued by evil energies while crazy lizard mutants run amok on board. Heroes must destroy the ship from within while it reaches a home planet and spreads its doom to a huge population of good people. Bad guy monks in a huge dungeon are planning to summon an evil spirit. Heroes need to find their way down and stop the ritual, but time is running out. The guy who helps them turns out to be an evil monk too. Now lean back in your GM chair and take a look at the whole truth. It should give you ideas for scenes you'll need. Find 5 scenes, including 2 to 4 bullets of fun details per scene. Keep it simple. Keep it super tight. Let it flow. Worry if it's cool later. Okay, so that's what. Let me take this down. Put up our notes here. Okay. BGD says, even before you get to defining the 5 rooms, I like to follow the Runehammer rubric of defining a power word as an overall theme and tone from within the dungeon. Like frozen or savage. That sounds cool. This might turn into a series here. This morning might be about getting back into what the 5-room dungeon is and then actually building tomorrow. So yes, that's an interesting idea. So we need a theme, power word. That is kind of reminds me of something from theater. I know that they'll have, I don't forget what they call that. It's not exactly the theme. I don't think it was called power word, but I remember like when you're talking about set design for theater, they'll be like, we've got one word that everything on the stage has to exemplify. If it's not giving that, if it's not connected with that word, then it doesn't need to be on the set. Or if it's on the set, it needs to be connected with that word in some way. Like when they were doing King Arthur, the word was magic. Like the word is magic. So we have to go with that word, and everything on the set needs to tie into that word. So I think that's what you're talking about here with a power word. Whenever you get stuck or need to make a choice, go back to your power word and make it reasonable. Make it resonate. Cast, power word dungeon. We need power word dungeon around here. Okay. So, scenes and bullets. In this case, now lean back in your GM chair and take a look at the whole truth. It should give you ideas for scenes you'll need. Find 5 scenes, including 2 to 4 bullets, points full of fun details per scene. Keep it super light. Just let it flow. Worry if it's cool later. Oh, I said that. Okay, scene 1 is entering and the Guardian. Start things off with a bang. Get the dice rolling as soon as possible. We're talking before the credits. Describe the opening scenery, and then boom, an enemy leaps into the frame and attacks. Now, so they're saying start on action. Why hasn't the dungeon been plundered? ICRPG recommends start on action. Scene number 2, and of course this is genericized to scenes over here instead of dungeon rooms. But scene 2, a role-playing challenge. Now that everyone is warmed up, move them deeper into the map and propose a dilemma. Do they bargain with the bad guy or proclaim their defiance? How can they convince the foes to help them? So I like this. So this said puzzle or role-playing challenge. Sometimes when I think of puzzle, I think of an actual a puzzle like well, where you're actually moving something around or something that the players have to solve with their own knowledge. At least that's what the word kind of means to me. And sometimes there are rooms like that. There was one in the Randall Morn trilogy, like when I'm thinking about a puzzle, where there were pots in the room of the dungeon, and then hollow places in the floor. And then what we had to do was there were like magic symbols on each pot, and you had to align the pots according to the different magical traditions. But like we never got it. I think we ended up. I mean, the game master ended up giving us some help. It was what those symbols meant, and then lining them up, like evocation and divination and all of that. So when I think of puzzle, I think of something like that, and I'm not big on that. To like, all right, everybody, sit down and figure out a puzzle. Because some people might be good at great puzzle design, other people might not be. I'm not necessarily good at it. I don't think. I haven't really tried that. But also sometimes when you think something's rather obvious, it is not to your players. Especially if you're talking about in-world stuff, in-universe stuff that the players just may not be familiar with in order to solve some kind of puzzle. And I'm not a big fan of knowledge checks. So some people might solve that by saying, here's a puzzle. It does seem less cool, less cool and less puzzle-like if you solve the puzzle using a knowledge check roll. That, in fact, that makes it like not a puzzle. like to me, a puzzle. But I like this take here better that the index card RPG has. It's proposing a dilemma. Now that I like. So maybe that's what they meant by puzzle or something like that. But actually, I like this right here, a role-playing challenge, where we need to. I like the general term of propose a dilemma. However you spell dilemma. Okay, propose a dilemma. I like this. Make the players. There should be a critical choice here. Make the players make a critical choice. I think that's probably what should be in here. So, there's some kind of choice to make. Like, do we bargain with the bad guy or proclaim their defiance? How can they convince a foe to help them? So something like that goes in here. I like that. I like that. PH says, I was with my kid and tried to send the video to you to check MCDM. I thought I had not and sent it again. Now I see it was erased. Sorry, I didn't get it at first, but have you got the video? Did you send it? How did you send it? Oh, Sable Phoenix does say, so maybe the reason I don't have the, I'm not part of the MCDM Patreon. Okay, so that was something that came out on the Patreon. Sable Phoenix says, as far as MCDM RPG goes, if I'm talking about the playtest packet, I guess that's what I'm talking about. I'm not sure what I'm talking about. Everybody else was talking about something that people were reviewing about MCDM. So maybe that was it, and that was available through their Patreon. The first backer kit preview is set to come out in July in a much more polished form, complete with character building rules. Oh, okay. So that's probably why I didn't get it, because I thought there was some like update or something that I had missed on the backer kit was something that we were supposed to be looking at. Okay, so that would explain that. Useful dungeon links. Okay. Yeah, it looks like we're going to be getting our this is going to be more about the philosophy before we go forward here. James says, searing light trap on the entrance to the dungeon. Check. The ICRPG Master Edition also has cool random tables for suggestions on defining locations, obstacles, and goals, beginning on page 371. Okay, so I think we'll also make use of some of these random tables As you can see what's in the Shadow Dark thing. Tables. This you can trust. Locations, obstacles, goals, hero origins. Yeah. Okay, cool. Let's we're going to use those. Get some creative juices flowing here. Well, I was trying to use the there. The ribbon here. Okay, so number 2, propose a dilemma. Steel Mongoose says it hasn't been plundered because Justin Bieber music is being piped outside the front entrance. BGD says the puzzle can be an actual puzzle to gain advantage or go further into the dungeon. It can be a social interaction to turn a foe into a friend. It can be an encounter involving hidden aspects of the environment that the players have to discover. Yes. So my point was, let's not take that puzzle too literally. Because also, we don't want it to get overall predictable. Oh, we walk in the room and then there's actually some type of, we got to like slide the tiles around and do some kind of puzzle or something. No, I like the dilemma idea. Len says, my favorite puzzle room ever was where I was inflicted a tesseract on the players, and they had to figure out how to navigate it. BGD says, I like using actual puzzles tailored appropriately for the adventure context and for the players at the table, but it's always important to leave a way for the party to fail forward. Right, because the puzzle should never create an unreachable obstacle that can't be circumvented and as a result bring the action to a dead stop. And that's that's my concern with a puzzle that relies on player knowledge. Like an actual puzzle, it's like, okay, if they can't figure this out or they don't know something, then all of a sudden, like, especially if you're talking about a one shot here, you're talking about 2 to 3 hours. Like, how much of the time do you want the players to be trying to figure out some type of puzzle in this way? Oh, did I just miss it? I'll look for that, PH. Good morning, Stray. Good morning. Okay, make the players have some kind of critical choice. Scene 3 is the big setback. Room 3. Big setback. Once the dialogue and pondering flattens out, the story shoves players into a dangerous scene, one that's almost unwinnable, cascading them into the heart of darkness. Okay, big danger. The big setback. Big danger that is nearly unwinnable. Scene 4, the climatic battle. Heroes tumble into the sanctum or deepest lair and are confronted with the reason for all the fuss. Time to fight. So this is a cascade into the heart of darkness. Room 5. No, 4. Room 4. The climatic battle. This is what the dungeon is all about. The big showdown. Scene 5, reward and twist. Room 5. Man, I'm not doing good this morning. Reward and twist. In the afterglow of battle, shower them with praise from local folks, treasure, or revelations, but then things are not what they seemed, and the threat somehow lives on. All right. Good morning, George. Zero the Blade says, one time a DM set the DC to 20 and could only be learned with history or navigation check. Yeah. It's like, and then what happens if you don't hit the roll? Geeks can go crazy with this stuff. Setting out an entry maze according to tungsten electron orbitals may slow the adventure down. Yes. And may sound great when you're writing it out. BGD says, if you've laid the groundwork for the adventure quest and you've garnered the player's investment in the game, sometimes the function of the puzzle room is only to chew up valuable time for the party. The place where I saw it, the MCDM RPG, was the character sheet for the comic book. The character sheet on the comicbook.com. We were having, okay. Yeah, it may have, so you may have gotten, if you were posting a link here, you may have gotten auto-modded, because I don't think YouTube allows to post links unless you're a moderator. That may have been what happened. Okay, we'll check that out. I want to see what people are saying about that. So even though I'm not on the Patreon, I'll see what other YouTubers are saying. If you set up the adventure quest with an initial mystery or investigation element, sending the party into 5 rooms, the 5-room treasure can include answers to the question and its resolution. Yes, that's a reward and twist. This is also an answer. So this could be an answer to the dungeon, to the mystery, to a mystery, answer to a mystery. If that's why you were going there. Casting call, it says. Now that you have a sense for what scenes make an idea work, you probably already know what characters and creatures occupy those scenes. Take a moment to write each one down on an index card. You'll need a few NPCs, a few bad guys, and something a little tougher to mix in. If it's too much for an index card, it's too much for you. Here are a few examples. For example, Nadia, the local helpful girl. Nadia is small but courageous. She remembers the town when it was bright and good and needs heroes' help. Edmundo, doomsayer guy in town. Edmundo shouts at heroes to be gone. This town is doomed. No one can help. It must all burn. Ratmen, half rat, half man, all nasty. They have kidnapped townsfolk as food. Ratmen are super easy to kill, but fight in numbers. Ratman sorcerer, cloaked, creepy, and makes potion to conjure more ratmen. Uh-oh, this guy uses magic and runs away, making him hard to beat. Rat King Loricus, a pale, hairless, super rat mutant unleashed to end it all. Ugh. Oh, well, that's a good question. Jason says, after watching the Morning Grind's Chat GPT videos, I wonder how much help it could be in developing these 5-room dungeons. I'm not on premium right now. So I can't use the custom GPTs that people have built. That's a flaw in that system. And I also don't have access to Chat GPT 4 anymore. But I find Chat GPT 3 is good enough for bouncing ideas off of. So if we need more tables, if we need more ideas, we could go bounce things off of Chat GPT. But then again, we got the chat here too. Yeah. I don't think it could. I don't think it's going to generate. I think we're mainly talking about ideas with it, which like, even with writing, because I haven't found that it really helps me write as far as do the writing for most things beyond like an email or something. But bouncing ideas off of it, I think, is the way that it is the way to go. Although Robert is the master of this. So Robert says that it thinks that we could. We played a full MCD MCDM RPG combat encounter. Well, that we'll have to try. Oh, so Robert says that it will, but BGD says that is not having luck with it. But Robert is our master prompt designer around here. Number 4, make some maps. Now for the coolest part, maps. Whether players see your maps or not, you'll have a sense for where the action takes place. Some will be tools to help you describe things, others literal mechanical design ideas. Try mapping from the side or using blueprints or concept art to capture your idea from the whole truth. Don't worry about measuring out 5-foot squares or perfect grids. The best maps work like a soundstage in play or set in a movie. They're all a backdrop that reinforces the mood and gives players ideas to role play. Now you're ready. Go on, be an amazing GM, and fear no evil. Yeah, I'm going to have to dig into... I want to dig into the index card RPG more. Maybe that's a good reason to go ahead and build out the index card RPG as well on playing cards. Because I certainly got to know Shadow Dark better by building that out. And I want to look at, I want to get to know Index Card RPG more anyway, because I kind of think that Fated Edge is going to be kind of like a blend between Fate and Index Card RPG. There's a lot of the philosophy, it appears, in both of those that I really like. Lynn says, I challenged ChatGPT to create a 5-room dungeon. It gave me lots of atmosphere, but little substance, like the actual riddle to present to the players. Okay, so what are we? Okay, let me look at some of these links that BGD sent. One-page dungeon. Oh, this is interesting. I mean, let's look at this. So yeah, today's like a philosophy day, it looks like. Figuring out what exactly we're supposed to be doing. So we do need a methodology. Like, we're big on story structure. And that was why, oh, this is interesting. A decade-ish ago, so this is the 21 Forms of the 5-Room Dungeon by Matthew J. Negley. So like, I'm looking for some way to structure adventures. So 5-room dungeons. This looks like we have some structure. What was the one where we were looking at the keys, you know, or you know, you could have like a key and it was a schematic that was like circular and that you built your dungeon out kind of like circles, but then before you put it into an actual layout, what was that? I want to look at that again too. So a decade-ish ago, I wrote an article entitled The 9 Forms of the 5-Room Dungeon. The premise was simple. Using specific rules of construction, there are only 9 topologies to which a 5-room dungeon can conform. I.e., if there are only 9 5-room dungeons if you follow these rules. Those rules were: start with a room, the entrance to your dungeon. Choose an existing room. Add a hallway that leads to a new room. Think of a lollipop. Repeat until you have 5 rooms. These rules net us the following 9 forms: the arrow, the cross, the evil mule, the Fauchard fork, Foggio's snail, the moose, the paw, the railroad, the V for vendetta. Readers were quick to point out that if you also abstracted the entrance, you actually only had 3 forms: the railroad, the cross, and the arrow. Fast forward a decade, and reader Delsig left a comment pointing out the following: there's an academic paper on node topology that shows that without my simple rules of construction, there are not 3 forms of the 5-room dungeon, nor 9, but still only 21. Oh, let's get into node topology here. I love it when people bring that kind of stuff into gaming. Hey, good morning, Vision. Good morning, Vision. BGD says, the Professor Dungeon Master at Dungeon Craft is a big fan of the concept of the dungeon map as a flowchart full of nodes, rooms, and connections, corridors. the Gnome Stew article on topologies. Okay, yes, okay, that's what we're talking about here. Okay, so here are topologies. You can read the paper here. I don't pretend to understand the math, but the takeaway for us is page 2, the 21 forms. This looks pretty cool. As you can see, the 3 forms of my original article you can see the 3 forms of my original article in these 21, such as the 5-star, the 5-arrow, and the 5-path. As a bonus, the paper provides 2 forms of the 3-room dungeon and of 6 forms of the 4-room dungeon. The 1 form of the 1-room dungeon and the 1 form of the 2-room dungeons are trivial. The 8 topologically distinct connected subgraphs on 3 and 4 nodes. So if you want a small dungeon, choose one of these forms and that's it. It feels like we need that could be put into something that's like a Python script or something. I'm sure somebody could hook that up to a Discord bot too. I failed at actually connecting my Discord bot a while back ago. But if you wanted to enter parameters and things to at least get some kind of basic structure, what the basic structure of this dungeon is going to be. So if you want a small dungeon, choose one of these forms and that's it. There aren't any other forms that are topologically distinct from these. Choosing one is even fairly simple. The 21 forms lend themselves to a D20 roll. Just discard one you don't like. Or if you add in the 2, 3, and 4 room options, you have a D30 roll and it's all good to go. Knowing there are only 21 topologies is a real time saver, but the problem with the revelation that there are only 21 forms the 5-room dungeon can take remains the same as it was a decade ago. 21 forms is better than 9, but it collapses what seemed like an infinite variety into a rather small number of options. But creativity is born out of constraints. You're big on the node topology too? Topography too? Hardly Paranormal says, good morning. Does this take into account multi-level 5-room dungeons? It depends on what you mean here. Like, you could do a 5-room dungeon where if you're talking about every level having 5 rooms, you could do that. You could have a dungeon where you go down and you enter into another 5-room dungeon. You could do that. But I think that would be like adding on another dungeon. If you're just talking about vertical movement, then that can be added in, no problem. BGD says, my favorite variation of the 5-room dungeon is what I call the 7-room dungeon, which the available paths branch into 2 separate parallel tracks, each with its own puzzle and setback room. The paths reconnect before the boss battle. This gives you opportunities for scouting and recursion and failing forward with only 40% more work. Oh, so Hardly Paranormal says, so 2 rooms on one level, 1 room above them on another level, and then 2 rooms above that. Oh, you're talking about so 2 rooms on one level, 1 room above them on another level. I think yes. Because your connections here, as I'm understanding this, if we only have 5 rooms, it doesn't matter whether these are connected in along a z-axis or not. So some of these connections could be a z-axis. Lynn says, I believe that any 3-space node network can be represented in 2-space if you make it clear when crossing lines don't actually intersect. Right. Like this envelope M here, we got a cross here in the center. But does that mean that's a hallway that goes down and then you can actually go to any one of those 4 places? Is that a 4 intersection right there? Maybe, maybe not. That could be a tunnel that goes over and a tunnel that goes under. So those might not be connected. So that might be, depending on what rules generated these. I don't think, it doesn't look like, well, the paper probably tells you. But if you wanted to take that into consideration, that would be additional things that could be added here. So let's see. No, this is, I didn't post a link. Let me post this link. This is not this is just a web page. This is Gnome Stew. But it collapses what feels like an infinite variety into a rather small number of options. How do we keep our 5-room dungeons distinct now that we know there are only 21 possible topologies? Just like last time, the devil's in the details. Rooms can be shifted around without changing their topography. Using the simplest example of the 5-path, the chart is the 21 forms. Using the simplest example of the 5-path, the chart of the 21 forms has in it a question mark shape, but it could just as easily be a zigzag or a straight line or a spiral. Right. So where's our question mark? 5-path right here. So yeah, this is like the network. I'm looking at this as like the network path. But that doesn't mean that the actual physical layout of the dungeon has to be that. If you make the hallway stairs the straight line from the wizard's tower, if you make the hallways stairs, the straight line is the wizard's tower. Oh, well, there we go. So there's talking about Z space. Any or all of the connections in your dungeon could be elevation changes. Of course, there's nothing saying these have to be dungeons. You can use these topographies for any purpose, ships, buildings, and so forth, as well as non-physical representations like relationships, maps, investigation trees, etc. The 6th room. Adding a 6th room and its attendant connection increases the number of topologies well beyond 21. Using 5-room segments as building blocks for larger structures can net you anything from a still small 10-room dungeon up to a massive apartment buildings. I lived in apartments with 5 rooms before, or mega dungeons or similar. Okay. Let's see. What else do we need to look at before to refresh ourselves? BGD also sent this link. So this is the one. This is a generator. What is this? Oh, do we get a new one every time? How to make a dungeon in a week. 7-room dungeons. Okay, so this is a generator. Well, this is pretty nice. Here, let's put the link to this in here. So this is the one-page dungeon generator. The bus topology, kind of like a gauntlet, the difficulty getting harder and harder as you progress. Yeah, I was thinking about, okay, I think there are some pretty good, you use the term gauntlet or funnel for 0-level characters. I was seeing on Reddit, some people were saying that some of them were really good. On the other hand, if you wanted that are already out there, I'd like to check those out. But also, if you're thinking about just a combat kind of gauntlet, a dungeon like this, and you've got to get something out of it, and we're going in with a whole bunch of 0-level NPCs, and we're really 0-level PCs rather, and we got to get to the end of it, and we're going to see who's alive. The purpose of the 5-room dungeon is to funnel players through the room in order. No, some of these topologies violate that principle. So that is a good point. That if you're trying to go through these in a specific order, then some of the topologies might not necessarily work. Although not necessarily, because there could be, even though you're walking around in a fork, maybe the order in which you can do the rooms is set because you've got to go over to this room in order to retrieve a key, in order to open up a dungeon over here, open up another door over here. So so just because the topology doesn't guide you from room 1 to room 5, other elements of the dungeon might. Is there any real world antecedent for underground complexes carved out and fully furnished? I know people talk about that before. There are the underground cities. Isn't it in Turkey where they have that complex city that's carved out underground? So this is the what about generator is for making cool maps on the fly. It's great for getting a map layout really quickly. Then you could ignore the description it gives and populate it with your own 5 encounters. That's exactly what I was thinking. So it might give you some ideas, but how do you get a map going if you want a map in here? For a long time, the fort remained sealed. Now it's controlled by a gang of bandits. So this could be anything. It doesn't have to be that. Does it give you 5 rooms every time? So what is this doing? Press enter to generate a new dungeon. More shortcuts here. All the options are available in the context menu. Right click on the generator. Oh, edit note, delete note. Progen Arcana. What is that? Is it going to do all of these for us? Village generator? There's so much out there. Short Lodge? Wait, so... Okay, that didn't generate something different that time. There's so many tools out here. We live in a golden age of gaming. Oh, there we go. Otter Cross. Okay, so I think I had to actually go back. So this generates us a new village? That's amazing. I love the DCC funnel, but I really like the Traveler character creation process. Go push your luck. I'm gonna have to watch. I'm gonna have to read that because I like that. People always talk about dying during character creation, but I like that if you want a more advanced character, then you push your luck. Yeah. Okay. So that's exactly right here. Prereqs. That's what we're talking about. Yeah, it would require something other than topology, right? Cappadocia. Yeah. There aren't a whole lot. I know people have discussed that too. Like there are different blogs and stuff about that. Like, where do we actually find dungeons in the real world? Like dungeons, like Dungeons and Dragons dungeon. Yeah, so this will give us a new generator every time. New dungeon, tags, view, rotate to fit, monochrome, style. Oh, change up a style. Ink shading, water floor, paper, strokes, shadow, hatching, text, layout like this always can take so much time. So something like this is really nice. Save as PNG, export as PNG, SVG, JSON, Vox, Markdown. What if I just want to delete this note? Okay, you can just get rid of it too. Okay, this is an important resource. Mausoleum of the Diamond God. Frozen body of a pirate, a scale of mail is nearby. I kind of like the look of that one. Okay, well, you sent one other link. Let me see it. The 7-room dungeon. Let's look at this. Can I look at this? Can I look at that? Can I bring this PDF up on screen, BGD? And we'll look at that for an additional philosophy of 5-room dungeon building. Go for it. Okay, thanks. All right, let's look at BGD just wrote something, and it says the 7-room dungeon. So let me open this up and see what this philosophy is. I think this was BGD's idea to build out some 5-room dungeons on stream. I think that's a great idea. But I had to get my mind back wrapped around what exactly this was. So this is how to make a dungeon in a week. A simple, popular method for a game master GM to create a single-session role-playing game adventure is a template called the 5-room dungeon. The 5-room dungeon, where the scenario doesn't need to be limited to just 5 encounter areas and doesn't need to take place underground. The 5-room dungeon concept starts with an outline for a complete story that includes all the crucial components of a fun gaming session and supports the 3 key aspects that define the common scope of tabletop RPGs. Exploration, social interaction, and combat. Each component occurs in its own encounter space, a room, generally encountered in a fixed linear sequence as is follows. Gateway and or guardian. 1. This is the entrance to the dungeon where the player character's PCs have to face a difficult obstacle, either a barrier or a monster or both, and must defeat or bypass it in order to continue on the adventure. The Gateway Guardian typically emphasizes player tactics in approaching and overcoming the obstacle. Puzzle or social interaction. This is an interactive encounter once the PCs have made it into the dungeon, where they are encouraged to explore and experiment with something or someone unknown or extraordinary. The puzzle encounter often involves a non-player character controlled by the GM, someone the PCs can talk to, who may present them with riddles, challenges, or information that may or may not be true. Sometimes this encounter is an actual puzzle where features of the environment can be explored and experimented with to gain benefits or allow further progress to the quest. 3. Setback. This encounter increases the level of tension in the game and challenges the players to manage and maintain their in-game character resources as a challenge that comes before the final showdown in the story. Common setbacks include traps, ambushes, and dangerous environments that will soften up the party of adventurers. Climax. This encounter is the boss fight where the PCs come face-to-face with the biggest challenge of the session, usually in a combat encounter with most powerful monsters or other opponent in the dungeon. The known stakes, the reason the PCs delved into the dungeon to begin with, are usually made fully apparent and are on display during this encounter. The treasure they seek or the person they were meant to save is usually on display and often in direct danger of being lost, making the fight much more intense and exciting. If characters die during the session, it usually happens here. Reward and resolution. After the big battle at the adventure's climax, this encounter serves as the party's reward, the victory lap, where the treasure, the information, explanation, and sometimes the seed for the next adventure, you have a good point, seed for the next adventure can be given to the party, and each player gets a chance to frame a final scene for the PC and the role-play narrative. That's a good point. If I'm not mistaken, you can export those maps for both player and GM types. Exporting that, by the way, we could use it at the if we can export it as a PNG on the player side, we could use it as the background for the index card RPG VTT, or we could put it as the background board on playingcards.io. An alternate adventure outline method that expands on the 5-room dungeon and augments it to give the quest more dimension and players more options is to construct a 7-room dungeon. A 7-room dungeon uses all the same components as the 5-room dungeon and incorporates the same key aspects of play, but employs branching to create an alternative loop for players to consider and choose, with the PCs following a different path if they are better prepared to face different challenges. Excuse me. A 7-room dungeon, there are 2 different puzzle setback sequences along different routes through the dungeon. This gives the party a way to fail forward if one path proves too difficult or costly. They have an alternative route they can take to face other challenges. Gateway Guardian, 2A puzzle or social, 2B puzzle social, to setback to boss fight to reward and resolution. The looping, called recursion by game designers, offers more opportunities for a fun and exciting game than the original 5-room adventure template. You can build a 7-room dungeon in a week. Plan 1 encounter area each day, uniting them with one narrative theme, story hook, or location. Try to give every encounter a threat, some sort of obstacle or danger, a timer. Time is so important. Some aspect of the encounter that keeps the players working to move their characters forward, and a treat, treasure to find, or something else to interact with the dungeon that will aid in the success and completion of the quest, or successful completion of the quest. Following this plan for each room and this outline for connecting your encounter areas, it's easy to create an exciting session of role-playing to enjoy with your players. Okay. All right. So, what are we doing do tomorrow? We do have those Star Wars books to look at. It looks like then the MCDM stuff, I don't have access to that, so we won't be doing that. I may start building out the index card RPG. I'm not sure, but also continuing this idea. So now I've refreshed my memory on what this is, started to take some notes. I think a collaborative building of a 5-room dungeon is a good idea. We need it. We perhaps need one for the Shadow Dark campaign. Maybe we need one for, or Shadow Dark game. Maybe one for 0th level adventures. And then we can use that, the random tables that are in the Shadow Dark book. But then we can also do the same thing using the index card RPG and the random tables and stuff. I guess that's why people love the random tables. Like, all right, we need some kind of dungeon. What are we going to roll it up here for some ideas? That does sound fun. And I do want to create some of these for Rabavania and Theophany in the future, but I'm not there yet. I'm still going through task by task. By the way, so let me put out the link here to the... Where's my link to the coffee shop? Oh, right here. Okay. So if you would like to play games online with us, here is the link to sign up for online gaming. Sign up for online gaming. When the online coffee shop is live. When the online coffee shop... I think we're ready for a test. Now, when the test happens, I'm not sure, because I do think I'm going to go down to Neutral Zone Studios this weekend, so it can't be this weekend. So maybe the next weekend. Everything takes so long. Maybe the test will be next weekend, and then we'll organize our first event. Please do like the stream. Yep. That would be great. All right, everybody, have a one... Oh, see, Heath, I sent you the channel and the title. Have you got it? Is that what you were sending in the comments? I did see stuff for... I did see some of that in the comments. The place where I saw the MCDM RPG was the character sheet for the comic book. The character sheet on the comicbook.com. That's it, right? Channel here on YouTube. So that's it. I'll check that out. All right, everybody. Have a wonderful day. I will see everybody tomorrow. Go forth, grind on, be creative, be constructive, and I'll see you tomorrow. Later. Stay warm. Stay warm, everybody.